Hey everyone, this is Ms. Moffat from across the universe, and today we'll be discussing a book cover that caused quite the stir. A while ago I talked about what happens when bad covers happen to great books, and one of the points I mentioned had to do with a publishing house's image of their intended audience. All big brands have an ideal shopper in mind, or an image of the person who would buy their product, and that's no different for the book industry. Ideas based on the age, gender, cultural background, and more of your ideal reader will affect the design of your book cover because you want those people to at least pick up your book, and half the battle of sales is just getting that person to pick up said item. But what happens when a book gets published in different countries or in different languages? How do publishing houses tweak a book cover to appeal to new audiences? In this video, I'm going to show you a controversial book cover change that will probably make your head spin a little. In 2010, a book called Annabel by Kathleen hit bookshelves right in time for the Christmas rush. Winter is a Canadian author, and this book was positioned as Canadian literary fiction, which means it's classed as national literature here, and it was submitted to Canada's top literary prizes by the publishing house. Annabel tells the story of an intersex child born in 1968 in Croydon Harbour, Labrador. His father calls him Wayne and decides he should be raised as a boy, but his mother and his mother's friend refer to Wayne's shadow self as Annabel in a bid to keep his female identity alive. What follows is a story of a young man trying to reconcile these two very different but valid identities within himself. So this is the Canadian cover. I've been told that adding snow to book covers is a uniquely Canadian advantage in book sales. Apparently it's so much of our Canadian psyche that it actually affects our book purchases. But yeah, I feel this cover highlights that hazy shadow self that Wayne refers to quite nicely. And the deer plays a central role in the story, given that Wayne's father is a trapper, and there's a lot of masculine identity tied up with that. Our literary fiction tends to have softer cover designs on the whole, and I would argue it's a signifier for Canadian literature at this point. Now, in stark contrast, here is the American book cover. Yes, this cover is for the same book. I've often noticed American book covers tend to be a little more confrontational and intense with their images, and this one it just screams the word challenging to me. What I found intriguing with this cover was how much attention is drawn to the character's body, to the point where Kathleen Winter's name and the title of the book draw direct attention to the character's chest. I find this cover feels aggressively clinical, like the designer only focused on the fact that the character was born intersex, but didn't take the character's internal life into consideration. But yeah, this cover screams dangerous exposure, and it feels a little predatory too. And next is the UK cover. I don't even know what to make of this one. I usually like UK editions of books. Aside from looking self-published, it looks like a contemporary romance for a teenage boy who's just recently come out, doesn't it? I don't know if the publishers were confused about how to represent an intersex character, or if they just didn't know who their ideal audience would be, but I feel this cover represents that confusion. They soften the character's posture in this one as opposed to the American edition, but there's still some kind of fascination with the character's body happening here. And last is the Dutch cover. I like that there's still an element of uncertainty here, just in the sense that the character is concealing their face, but they're still making eye contact with you. It's almost as if this person is starting to accept a part of themselves, but they're still unsure how the world at large will react to that. I also like that the character shies toward gender neutrality and could be read as either male or female, which makes sense given the context of the story. The pink font makes it look a little more modern than 1968, but I could see younger readers picking it up because of that. After the Canadian cover, this one is probably my favorite. So how do you think the covers stacked up? Is there a cover that convinced you to pick up the book, and what do you think that says about your reading tastes? As always, thank you for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more great videos from across the Literverse. On that note, signing off.